Hey everyone, today's video is about all the other pillars of health, mainly thoughts and stress. So raw foods are amazing for your health. You need food. Food is a big one. I don't know if all the pillars of health are necessarily more important. One is more important than the other. But I do know from my experience and scientific research and just other people's experience, there is probably nothing you could eat or do that is worse for you than stressing out. When you stress out, you literally, and this is all this, remember, keep in mind, it's not stress that causes stress. It's your reaction. It's not the situation that causes stress. It's your reaction to the situation that determines if you're going to get stressed out or not. So someone, the same person or two different people, the same situation happened. Someone has an optimistic, upbeat, let's make lemons out of lemonade, or it's not so bad, or whatever, kind of like attitude about it. And someone else is like, oh my God, and they freak out and they think it's the end of the world. And, I'm sure we've all freaked out about something that was kind of before I have, and I've learned from it too. And I'm still, it's a work in progress. But what I've learned is that, nothing is just as bad, I feel, as stress. So stress ages you. People, gray hairs from stress. Your body releases cortisol when you're stressed. So you have a lot of unhealthy chain of reactions that go in your body, and it just really taxes on your body and wears out your nerves, and it's really not healthy. And the funny thing is, how do you trigger stress? It's your thoughts. So it's funny because in our society, thoughts aren't given much, even of an awareness. Most people aren't even aware of their thoughts, and it's not even given much of a credibility, like that it is something. But thoughts are something. Scientific brain scans and recording devices can measure the energy and the frequency of thoughts. So thoughts are energy, and if you think about your thoughts, can literally alter the chemistry of your body, which science has been showing over and over again. A happy thought releases serotonin and dopamine. A stressed out thought releases cortisol, and that makes you gain weight as well, and it does a lot of unhealthy things to you. It's designed to help you deal with real stress, which is like danger, like it stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your heart going faster, and all that, so you can escape danger, so you can run faster, and so on. So it has a purpose. Now everything has a purpose, but the thing is, too much of it, or unwarranted. Most people are stressing out constantly, daily, and not eating right, and to me, I know this is a little tangent, but the amazingness that is the human body, that it can survive in an environment that is so toxic, and it looks normal, guys, but it's not. I don't think it's normal. This computer right now is giving me radiation. That's not healthy. If you're not getting really clean water is full of toxins. There's pollution in the environment. And you do the best you can. You can't freak out and stress about it. But my point is when you give the human body what it actually wants and needs, which is clean food, give it some clean air if you can, some clean water, enough clean water. On that note, movement. It's decided to move. When you move, you don't feel good. There's nothing better you can do for yourself to feel better. If you don't feel good, that's drinking green juice and work out and maybe talk to someone you trust. That's going to be, one of the best things to do. You could also do stuff you like play instruments. But back to so the human body is amazing, and you're gonna discover on your journey to health how amazing you can actually feel, how you can feel good for no reason, how you can feel better than if you had done a bunch of really hardcore drugs. Like in the moment, when you do drugs, you get the high and then you come down, what goes up must come down, so then you feel worse than before. But with this, when you drink a green juice or something, you're building your health. You're going to feel better and better, and there's no come down. It's because it's real health that you're building. and you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel so good. Drugs won't compare, and you won't want to do drugs because you feel good already. And I think that's a big reason some people do drugs is because they want to feel better or learn how to deal with their emotions. They can't deal with it, and you know what? In my experience, dealing with your emotions is one of the hardest things you can do. And being raw, you're forced to deal with your emotions because you can't numb yourself with food or toxins or anything like that. So you're forced to really deal with things, and in the moment, it's hard, but it's well worth it, and you actually get to the root of the problem instead of suppressing it. There's my little baby John. She'll say hi to you real quick. She likes to eat raw too. She eats carrots and she drinks my smoothies with me. Anyways, so yes, thoughts, stress. Yeah, no, don't do it. Try not to do it. These are some things you can do to release stress when things are not going well. You could take deep breaths. I already feel a bit more relaxed. Yeah. It's so funny because the deep breaths, I think, oh, it's not going to do anything. But it does. You can remind yourself that, it'll be okay. You can even think of the worst case scenario and you realize, hey, I could even deal with that. You know what I mean? Because you really are more capable than what you know. And then another thing you can do is scientific studies show a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of thinking about the problem is actually good for you because it gets you in that problem solving mode. But then too much is not good. It's like it makes you anxious. So think about it a little bit until you've solved the problem. If you're thinking about it and you can't solve the problem, take a break and do something else, and then it'll come to you. But once you've solved the problem, don't dwell on it. Don't mess yourself up. And it's really funny because when you think about in the moment, is everything okay? Yeah. Usually it's okay. Maybe it's not the best, but it can get better, and that's the good part. So thoughts are really powerful. The funny thing is, when I watched The Secret and stuff like that, I didn't necessarily believe in it right away. Contrary to what you may think of me, I'm actually quite a skeptical person. I need a lot of evidence and research before I'm convinced. And so it's funny because with the raw foods, I don't know if it's because my body is less full of junk or my mind is just naturally more powerful, or what's going on. But even other people have pointed out to me that they see me manifesting. They see it for me, and I see it so much more now than I did before. And I don't know if it's just my mind is stronger or since my body's cleaner, the connection is clearer. I don't know exactly what it is, but that has been really a lot of evidence to me to show that thoughts do affect your reality and they do affect your life. And if anything, they affect your choices. They determine your actions. Every action is preceded with a thought. Pretty much every emotion is preceded with a thought. So we have to really take responsibility, first to be aware of our thoughts, and second to take the steering wheel. And in this last year and a half, I've been especially mindful about this. Even before I went, even after I went raw, I wasn't always being really mindful about my thoughts, but the raw made me see the connection and be clear about what I'm thinking and how it's affecting me, my health, my choices, and my life. And it's very powerful. Thoughts are very powerful. And so the first step is you have to be aware of what we're thinking. There was a time where I wasn't aware of what I was even thinking. And life gets so busy. It's like, I have to control my actions and the way I act, and I have to control my thoughts too. Oh my God, this is a lot. But it gets easier. Like anything, the beginning's the hardest. The first step is awareness. And then the second step is, okay, there's not just one way about thinking about something. Someone can see this water bottle and be like, oh, great, I have to drink all this water, and wow, it's something to do. And then someone else can think, wow, this is spring water, which is actually spring water. It's not this brand. This is spring water. Like, this is so good for me. I'm so excited. I can't believe that I just do this. Simple, easy, quick, and I feel better, and I have better skin, and I don't even have to really, drink anything gross to do that. Many different ways of looking at something, and if you're not convinced that there are, go ask your friend how they see this a similar subject, some subject. Like, everyone has a different way of seeing something, and they're all right. They're all correct. There's no one or right way of seeing something. There's not even one or right way of being, you know? Like, we can't all be Buddhist monks, you know, meditating in the mountains. I mean, yeah, I think the world would be a calmer, peaceful place if that was true. But, you know, I realize the world is perfect the way it is. I mean, all those people who do those terrible things make us stronger. Everything has a purpose. Do you know what I mean? Everything has a purpose. This is a tangent, but hopefully you'll stay tuned, because I think it's interesting to me, because when I first heard about this concept of there is no black and white, there is no good or bad. You know, there's healthy and unhealthy, and then there's you know, safe and dangerous, but there's no like good or bad. There is no good or bad people. There are people who do good or kind or bad, mean things, you know? Everyone has it within them to do beautiful, wonderful things and terrible things as well, and that's all depending on choices, which are preceded by your thoughts. You know, it always comes back to your thoughts. So, yeah, it's not so simplistic. There's no mean or nice people. I mean, the same person, you raise that same person in two different households. One is educated, non-violent parents who don't have drug issues, who give them everything they want and need, and they don't, not necessarily spoil them, because I don't think that's really healthy either, but, you know, give them enough TLC and guidance. And you have that same child born into a household with abuse and violence and drug addiction and neglect and not enough resources, and you're gonna have two completely different people, and it's understandable and it's human, and yes, we are accountable for our choices, and at some point that child has to, you know, when they're, you know, at some point make the choices to make their life better if it's not where it's wants to be, and, you know, to take responsibility. We can't blame our parents for everything forever, you know, and of course those situations do make us stronger. They do make us more skilled. I'm a firm believer in that, and, you know, the best people I've ever met in the world, the people who've been through the most, sometimes homeless people have been some of the most interesting, profound people I've ever met, and that's what I believe. I believe the things you go in life, they make you more skilled and stronger and smarter, and that's depending on your choices as well. You can choose to make lemons out of lemonades, or you can choose to dwell and be a victim and not make your situation better and feel sorry for yourself. And I did that, and I'm overdoing that, and it feels better not to do that. But yeah, so there's no one or wrong right way of being. I mean, people make choices, and there's purpose in everything. The anger, for example, the emotion of anger, you know, let's not get consumed with it. I have a little bit of a temper, so I have to be careful, you know, but the emotion of anger, it has purpose. It's not bad. You know what I mean? It has purpose. If you're angry, you're going to stand up for injustice. If there's something that angers you, you know, it's usually because there's something that's not fair or whatever. And it's usually, that emotion has a purpose. It's not a bad emotion. It's not a good emotion. There is no good or bad. You know, it's all, this is the purpose of this, and this is the value of that. If you're bored, it's because you need to get, you know, it's going to, that boredom emotion is going to force you to find something interesting to do. If you're unhappy, you know, you have to figure out what's making you unhappy and do something about it. And there we go. There's that thing of choice again, which is your thoughts. So it says so much of it is thoughts. And so I'm making this video because I've been eating extremely perfect, clean, very raw, you know, very, very healthy, and exercising and all these other things. But what I realize is sometimes there's other pillars of health, and sometimes they're not even in your control completely, and it's not just food. And so there are other ones. Let me list them, but let's get back to stress and thoughts. There's sleep. Getting enough sleep, very important. I mean, yeah, eating this way, even if I don't get enough sleep, you know, if I try and I still, if for some reason can't, I still am way better off and have more energy than if I didn't. I feel it less. I barely feel it. But it's still sleep, you know, especially going to bed early, rising early, very good for you. Getting enough water, clean water. Reverse osmosis or spring water is the only water that I really recommend. Spring water is the best, obviously. You can go to findaspring.com and get free spring water. Getting in fresh air, enough oxygen, open up the windows, get some fresh circulated oxygen. Moving, exercise, eating well, obviously, and you know, getting enough love, and I don't mean romantic love. I mean connecting to others, your friends, your family. And if you don't, like, you have to give it to get it, right? So connecting with others, we're social creatures, some more than others. I tend to like being alone a lot, but I do acknowledge the value in connection. So that's really good. And thinking happy thoughts, doing things you love, things that are good for you up here, so important. So let's get to that right here. I already covered kind of why it's important. If you think happy thoughts, I mean, in a positive, optimistic outlook, you're gonna feel better and make better choices. However, I am not the type of person that says, oh, don't worry about the negative, almost suppress it. Like, okay, so let me go on a little bit of a rant here. I feel like there is some kind of like rose-colored lenses people, and if you say something and you're expressing something that happened to you and it sounds negative, it's like you're shunned or shamed for being negative, and I don't believe that. I don't believe in negative and positive, so my apologies if I even said the word positive. No, I mean, you can't suppress things. These problems, something that happened, you have to deal with it in order to feel better. Now, there's that fine line of dealing with it, solving the problem, and then are we dwelling on it now? Because we don't want to do that, and most people, including me, have a tendency to do that. So let's not dwell on it, but let's not also suppress it like it doesn't exist because, it's negative, and anything negative is bad. I don't believe that at all, okay? So don't get me wrong. This is life. Life's not all sunshine and roses. Things happen and we learn and grow from them. And that's what I believe is one of the purposes of life, to learn and grow. And it's you can't even have positive without negative. You can't have the sun without the rain. Like, you can't appreciate or know what the sun is without the rain. And isn't it so true? It's like, you only appreciate something, like, don't you know what you got? You don't know what you got until it's gone. It's the absence that makes the presence amplified. You know what I mean? So you can't have negative without positive, and they're the two sides of the same coin, and they serve each other, and they both have purpose and value. But yes, if you do dwell on things, they will make you like unhappy and stressed. And the thing is, don't stress out because you think, oh my God, I've been stressing out. It's gonna take time, but it's just kind of like attitude that's gonna change. And it's like anything. It's like health. It has to be built. So when I've been working on my thoughts, I didn't switch from dwelling and blah, blah, blah overnight to where I'm at. And it's still a work in progress. I'm still working to do better. But it, like anything, it builds over time and it gets easier over time. So the biggest recommendation I would say is be aware of it, and then ask yourself, is there another way I can think about this that is also true but is more optimistic or will make me feel better or whatever? I don't think anyone really wants to hear something just because it will make them feel better. I think everyone just wants truth. I think like I'd rather hear truth, even if it's gonna like upset me, than a rose-colored false lie. Even if it's gonna make me feel good. I think most people rather have truth. So or maybe even all people. I'm pretty sure. But yeah. So you have to think about. You have to just think, is there another way I can look at this situation? And what is the good in this situation? And always, every day, ask yourself what you are grateful for. Because us, especially in America, if you think about, we're 300 million. Of the population is 7 billion. And at least half of that 7 billion, that's 3.5 billion, which is... that's at least times 11 how many people are in America. They live off less than $2 a day. So if you're in America, you're automatically, like, you're most likely, even if you're homeless, you're still going to get food somehow. I mean, you're even if you go hungry, you're never going to go as hungry, usually to the point, and I could be wrong about this, but the thing is, the thing is, I could be wrong about there's homeless people who aren't as hungry as certain other countries and they don't have as much access. And there are definitely exceptions. Please still be kind to the homeless people out there. Some of the best people I've ever met have been homeless at some point in their life or even currently. So, But what I wanted to say is that if you have to count our blessings, because less than half the world lives off less than $2 a day, and at least in this country, you have more opportunity. And then we can't judge people who aren't making the most of it, because they may have mental health or problems or addictions or a much, much tougher upbringing than you had. So how could you say that you wouldn't do the same? You don't know for sure. There's terrible horror stories that go on all over the world, regardless of financial situation. So we can't judge people. And I'm pretty much completely don't judge people and try to understand, or I'm almost to that point. Because the thing is, what I realized with the raw foods, quick side tangent, is when you judge, first of all, you're most likely wrong automatically, because you know what, you don't have all the information, and you don't know for absolute certainty if you were not in that person's shoes, and were not thinking what's going on in their head and what went on in their whole entire life that led up to that point, and what they were really thinking and feeling, and why they thought it was okay that you would not do the same. You don't know, so you can't say, so you can't judge. And there were people who never thought that they would do certain things, but they were given this certain situation and they did. You don't know, you can't say, so you can't judge, and you don't have all the information to judge, so you're most likely wrong or being harsh or critical. And what's the point? Why don't you, instead you could choose to understand. When I choose to do that, I learn, and I'm not as upset, and I learn so much more, and I feel open to receiving. I feel like energetically just open to receiving and learning, and I feel people love being around a sort of kind of outlook where you're not being judged. Like, I can sense when I'm being judged. I'm kind of the intuitive type. Once again, I am skeptical in nature, but I've also had a lot of interesting situations that have made me more open to these sort of things, like personal experience. And if you don't want to believe that, that's fine. I don't judge you for it. I totally understand that it's hard to believe these things. Even when you experience them, it's hard for me to believe them. But what I wanted to say is that choose to understand. You will learn more. You will open up more. You won't be as upset. You'll feel better, and use that mental space for other things, and so back to thoughts. Always think, is there another way I can think about this? If you're not sure, you just can't talk to someone. I feel like a lot of people, they don't talk to their friends even about what's going on and what's bothering them, because they have this outlook, which is sweet, that they don't want to bother their friends with their problems. And hey, I bother my friends with my problems, and I never thought I should feel bad about it. But then for a while I decided, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should keep it to myself. And oh my God, big mistake. I started getting upset. I felt suppressed. I needed to let it out. Sometimes we just want to talk because we just want to let it out. We don't even necessarily need advice. Sometimes I like advice. Sometimes I don't care for it, but either way, I'm not going to be mad if someone gives it to me. I know some people would be mad if they got just advice. I think it's good to be a good listener, and I'm practicing that. I'm not as good a listener as I am a talker, but I'm practicing that. But the point I'm trying to say is, find a way to let out what's bothering you in a healthy way. You can talk to a friend if you don't feel comfortable. And honestly, I don't think your friends, some people, we think that people are going to be bothered, but I think a true friend really just wants to help you and is interested in you. So it's not really a bother to them. But if you feel that you don't feel comfortable, and there's no shame in a therapist. Even therapists have therapists. Therapist is just about talking to someone about something to learn and grow from it and handle it a better way. There's nothing wrong with you if you go to a therapist. And if you have a stigma against that, it's unfortunate, because you could really benefit. Everyone can benefit from therapy. I mean, everyone, because, you could talk about something and you just feel better, or come to a different solution you wouldn't have otherwise. Or you can journal. You can go for a walk and think about it, or write a song, like some way to express, a poem, some way to express what you're going through is very helpful. And that's part of why a lot of scientists think that women live longer than men, is because we actually express it, we let it out, and it's emotionally healing, and it feels better, and it's less stressful than holding it in here. You could just drive yourself crazy, And so stress has a lot of different negative health effects on the body. Let's try not to stress out about that. But let's try to instead focus on, our reaction to a situation. If there's some situation that's, stressing you out, take some deep breaths. See if there's any other way you can think about it. But if the moment, in the heat of the moment, is too much, I would say come back to it later when you're a little bit calmed down. But everyone has a different way of handling something. That way it would work for me, but it might not work for someone else. Whatever the case is, don't work it up in your head. So try not to dwell on it. Try to have it more let me see an example. So let's just say I lost my job and I have 2 kids to support. Let's say that's my situation. I just lost my job. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, we're going to go hungry, blah, blah, blah. I'm probably not going to get work for a while. We're going to go homeless. Okay, that's probably the worst case scenario. You go homeless. And think, okay, well, if I went homeless, could we still get back on our feet, knowing who I am, that I am capable of working? And yeah, that would suck for a while, but we would still probably find a shelter and be fine. So sometimes you can explore the worst case scenario. I don't usually do that right away, but you could. And then you can say, in the meantime, I'll find another job. And then the best case scenario is that could be actually a blessing in disguise. It's, hey, I didn't really like that job anyways. That's probably why, I got fired or something. So this is now really the universe telling me I need to find something, I need to do something more better with my life that I enjoy. And that because I enjoy it, I'll probably end up being more successful. So yeah, right now, temporarily, it's scary. And I hope I don't go through it, too long. But either way, I know that worst case scenario, even if I end up, in a shelter for a while with my kids, that, we'll still have food and so on. And I'll get over this situation. I'm going to do everything I can to make a better life. And I don't want to be in a job where I'm not valued anyways. And with me, I couldn't hold on to jobs I didn't like anyways. And I think that's usually when you lose work, that's usually what it is. It's there's something better out there for you. Excuse me. All right, so thoughts. So different ways to react to the same situation, multiple ways to react to a situation. So it's not the situation, it's your reaction to the situation. I've given you some useful tips. I'm sure there's more. If you know more, you want to comment below with some ways you think that are beneficial to deal with stress to reduce the negative health effects of stress. I would love to hear them. Please comment. If you have any questions as well, I'd love to answer them. So this video is a lot about thoughts in particular to stress, but thoughts in general are a very powerful force. I think if you don't believe it, I think you should experiment with it, because experience is belief. And I think you should do for one day is be really conscious of your thoughts and taking them in the direction of optimistic and productive and kind thoughts and understanding, non-judgmental thoughts, and try that for a day and just see, if anything, just the difference in how you feel. But most likely your world is going to be reflected in that. I know on days where I think more positively and more optimistically, people are kinder to me and I tend to have a better day. And I do believe what's going on is inside is being reflected externally. So on top of health benefits, there's life benefits to being aware of your thoughts and being in control of them and driving them in the direction that makes you happy and your healthiest. And that is what I hope for you and for me and for everyone. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm excited to share more and on a consistent basis. And I appreciate you watching, and I hope you had a great day. And if you didn't have a great day, I hope you have one. All right, bye.